live. I can't make too many adult jokes, but good evening,
Yeah,
everybody. Welcome to Big Facts on our
keep it
Wednesday
family
night episode.
friendly.
We've got lots to talk about today. My cohort here, Aaron, has a sore throat this evening, so he says that he's not going to talk very much, but that's okay because we have a very special guest with us. First of all, Aaron, how are you?
Could be better, could be worse, bud. Living life to the fullest. Living life to the fullest, bud.
I'm going to do my best to get through this whole episode without making a gay joke, but I'm not going to promise you nothing. So, we have a very special guest with us, a good friend of ours. Me and Aaron met working at a car lot in Ben Salem. A native Jerseyan who is a 49ers fan, diehard 49ers fan. We make fun of him for it regularly, but now he'll have the opportunity to come on and defend himself. And we want to talk a little bit of football with him, so I'm going to bring him in now. We've got our good friend Rich Galman. Rich, how you doing?
Hey,
Welcome,
gentlemen,
Rich.
thank you for
Welcome to
having
Big
me. How you
Facts, bud.
doing?
So, Rich, we're going to default to you, bud. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the Niners? Do you want to start with the Eagles? What do you want to do?
Let's just go.
Let's go straight to your 49ers because
Yeah,
me and Aaron, me and Aaron, I'm sure have a ton of questions. Hey, Ron, I'll let you go first. Go ahead.
So, Rich, obviously you're following all 49ers news at all times. Me and Justin have a little bit of disagreement about what Jimmy Garoppolo is worth, what he's not worth. We know what he does when he's healthy. We know what he does when he isn't. Your take on Jimmy Garoppolo, what is he worth on the market, and what is that third pick looking like to you?
See, here's the thing, and me and Justin used to go outside at the car lot and talk about this all day. Jimmy was never my quarterback. To me, Jimmy, ship him out. If you can get a third for him, get rid of him. Jimmy,
I told you were
What's his
overvaluing
value?
him, Aaron. So Aaron Rich believes that Jimmy Garoppolo in some world is worth the 15th overall
He's
pick from
worth
New
a
England.
conditional first.
No, he's not
For New
Carson Wentz,
England.
bro. No, he's not. No, he's not Carson Wentz. You're trying to compare apples to oranges. Carson Wentz's deal is not something Jimmy Garoppolo's earned
I
yet.
want Rich.
No.
I want Rich to tell me why he's worth there's that much of a difference in our thought process. Why
I
is
just
he
seen
only
this
worth?
real. Before we start, I don't even know if he's worth a third. Before we just did this, honestly, I just seen an interesting stat on TV. With passes over 10 yards,
Mm-hmm,
Jimmy Garoppolo is 15 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. With
mm-hmm.
passes under 10 yards, Jimmy Garoppolo has 28 touchdowns, 7 interceptions since 2017. He doesn't have the deep ball, which he showed in the Super Bowl.
Yes,
What's
which
Jimmy's
brings
value?
yes. So which brings me to a point specific about a specific team, though, right? So New England had him. They run that type of offense. One read, two read, dump off, short passes, quick throws. It's what Shanahan tries to do with them, but they need a little bit more in that offense to take them a little bit further. But New England's used to playing that way. I'm not sure Jimmy G is worth a first round pick to 15 or 20 teams, but I feel like there's 5 to 6 teams that if he stays healthy, regardless of the statistics, Rich, your record is completely different when Jimmy doesn't play, right?
Yeah, but who did I have backing him up?
Well, what's the value of a backup quarterback? I mean,
Joe Flacco apparently is
know.
worth
today's
$3.5
world?
million.
Yeah, we
In
know.
today's world, they win you Super Bowls, so it's
Right.
very high for a backup quarterback.
Right.
And listen, so I got to jump in here. So Jimmy G, I don't think that he's not worth a second round pick or a third round pick. I don't know that I will put him past there. There's not. I mean, I'd struggle to give you 25 guys better than him. I can give you 15 easy, but
Yeah.
he's in that 20 to 25 ish range, which again I think is a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. So I think I get where Aaron's point is of what Carson Wentz just got being the worst quarterback in football last year. And Jimmy Garoppolo's record is different. There's a million different statistics and pro football focused things that make Aaron's wiener hard that we could get into. But Jimmy Garoppolo, to me, at the peak, is worth a second round draft pick. And it's probably not this year. It's probably a future second round draft pick that's a third to second based on his playing time. I don't think going to New England does anything for his ability. Him as a quarterback is not a guy that I go, oh, wow, that team got that guy? Oh, man.
Not for his ability, but for his
Here's a real
value.
question for you. Besides New England, who does he have value to?
Great question. Nobody is the
I think
answer.
that's why I think a team like the Bears, it's the teams that have offensive minded guys that
Bro,
don't
we
have.
just talked before we came live, and you told
That's
me
a
that the
lateral
Bears are
movement.
100% sold on Andy Dalton.
That's why they signed him, so
Yeah.
they're not going to go get Jimmy G now. But if you're asking who he could be valuable to, it's
Well, we're not talking about could be's and ifs and candies and nuts. We're talking about right now.
That
We
was
have
the question.
Where
New
Dalton
England
has
needs
more
a quarterback
value.
right now. Who else values him is the question.
Dalton
Who
has
value
more
right
value
now?
right now because Dalton stays healthy.
Correct. Great point. Great point.
Yeah.
So now I have a quarterback question for you, Rich. With the third overall pick that your San Francisco 49ers have traded up to get, who, now this is a two-parter. I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Who do you want them to take as part A? That's going to be the easy one. And B is who do you think they're going to take? Like what, based on what you've heard, being a fan, what do you think they do?
Of course, I want Justin Fields.
My man, I've been saying it for months.
That, everything about Justin Fields, I see. When I seen that they traded up for the third round pick, the first thing I threw up on my Facebook was Justin Fields coming to San Fran. First thing. But then watching y'all got me a little, Trey Lance way. But then I started thinking, what is it, North Dakota? He just got traded after he signed Why would we do that again? We're arguing about schools and where they come from and the product that they deliver. This is most recent. You got Haskins and Wentz, both. So, and then Alabama, who have they produced?
Oh, I've been saying Alabama for
it's a clean
years,
slate for
dude.
every quarterback that's entering the draft, and it's all about what's your style of quarterback. Now, Shanahan, he did it with all types of quarterbacks.
Mhm.
But if we keep saying that Fields and Lance fits his program or fits his system, why is Mac Jones even in the conversation?
Because he's the most NFL ready, I think. I think what that comes down to is McVay's probably in a position right now.
He has 2 first-round receivers.
Yeah, I get you, but here's the problem, right? So when you look at when you have a head coach that's a guy that wants exciting offense and builds around the skill positions, they want a quarterback that they can trust in every situation. While Justin Fields is, again, I've said this for months, Aaron's agreed with me at times and then disagreed with me at times. Justin Fields is the best quarterback in this draft. Second place, and Trevor Lawrence isn't really that close to me. But when you have a guy like Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, there's an unknown factor that comes with them because some of these guys just started to come up, and there's an athletic factor where they make a big difference as an athlete. Sometimes you see these younger coaches want a quarterback that is Jones is the most NFL ready right now because he comes from basically an NFL junior team. So I think Mac Jones comes up for that reason.
You watched the pro day. Did he hit every throw?
No, I thought his pro day hurt him, to be completely honest.
Okay, the pro day. He missed the same throw that Jimmy missed in the Super Bowl. Why would we relive that moment? You can't teach that throw.
I get you.
Rich,
I think that the only right decision is Justin Fields.
Why is it that? So one of the reasons this came up is because Justin Fields and Mac Jones had a pro day on the same day, and the 49ers showed up to Mac Jones' pro day. So if they were considering Fields, I think from a perspective of the owner, the general manager, the coach, and again, I'm not going to sit here and argue. We can argue about Jimmy Garoppolo's talent level all day, but the truth of the matter is they've had a great defense for a couple years. They have a run scheme that works well. He doesn't turn the ball over, and they win football games when he plays. So the backup comes in, doesn't obviously do the same thing. Do you trade up for someone just to have security and groom someone to ship them out at some point? That doesn't make any sense to me. So I kind of throw Trey Lance off the board unless you're trying to use them like Taysom Hill, but you don't trade up to get Taysom Hill. You trade back to get Taysom Hill, right?
What if hold on, let me jump in real quick. What if Trey Lance is a groom for the next 2 years guy, 2 years, a la Aaron Rodgers? And when Jimmy Garoppolo is more feasible to trade because his contract doesn't cost so much, you have Trey Lance take over.
Rodgers,
the problem that you have with that is that Fred Warner is due for a contract next year. Jimmy Garoppolo got $22 million sitting on the cap. You got to get rid of Jimmy by next year to keep Warner.
So you have Jimmy this season coming, and he needs to be off the roster the following season.
He has to be gone next year.
So again, Trey Lance, that's what to me, if it is Trey Lance, that's why. I mean, I haven't seen one
If
NFL
they like
scout
him
say,
develop for a year.
yeah, I haven't seen one NFL scout say that Trey Lance doesn't need a year. Every single scouting report I've seen of him was he has tremendous potential, but he's very far away from reaching it and needs the NFL for a year.
Here's the other thing with the comparison to the Packers too, though. You knew Favre was playing every game. So in my mind, if I'm the Niners and I know Jimmy G gets hurt, I want a guy that can go in there and keep me at 500 if I think I have a chance to compete. Aaron Rodgers, when he got drafted, he wasn't seeing any playing time because Brett Favre was never missing football games.
I don't think Trey Lance takes you away from the ability to think you have a guy that can keep you at 500. I mean, there is a lot. People keep forgetting, dude. We're talking about San Francisco is going to have a top 3 defense for the next 5 years. It's going to happen. It doesn't matter what they do. They can't fuck that part up. So not only is their defense going to be so good, they have a really, really, really good, intricate, smart head coach that's able to work with raw athleticism, and that's also what they have there. So Trey Lance to me can probably help. If you're talking about 6, 7, 8 wins, if you get a half a season out of Jimmy Garoppolo, there's no way you're making me believe that they don't end up in that same 6, 7, 8 win range with Trey Lance with all of the talent on that roster.
Rich, let me ask you this: Is there any surprise pick? Like, is there any way that the 49ers move up to 3 because they know at 4 or 5 somebody was going to take a Jamar Chase or a Kyle Pitts, and they're not even looking at a quarterback?
Now, here's the thing: being as though that they already said that they're taking quarterback, and for me, I think the only way Jimmy becomes my quarterback is if you plug him with the Chase. But there's no need for Jamar because you're developing Brandon Ayuk.
So you would be, I have a follow-up to that. You would be disappointed if they went a Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts.
Not even Kyle Pitts, because I got Kittle. Kittle stays healthy. My offense isn't a 2 tight end offense.
Right.
So, like, I know you can put Pitts anywhere, but it's not it's not that type of offense.
You think Ayuk
we have a really explosive offense if we have the right person pulling the trigger.
Do you think Ayuk is
offense in Atlanta where it was on fire?
Well, Ayuk is definitely a number 1 wide receiver. Is that what you're asking, Aaron?
Yeah. Do you think he's a number 1 option?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
I mean, if that's not what he showed you last year, what did he show you?
I mean, the 49ers they had COVID last year. They were all injured last year. I don't know when anybody is on the team I didn't watch the games enough. I don't know who's being forced the ball to because there's so many injuries. Who's the beneficiary of getting more targets because there's other players out.
Debo is the one you forced the ball to.
Yeah.
You force plays to Debo because you just want Debo to show off pure athleticism.
Yeah. I didn't watch.
Brandon is your number 1 receiver.
Yeah. Okay.
Dude, it is impressive though when you go down that 49ers roster. They have fucking legitimate talent, and I don't think, dude, I'm telling you the truth. I've been blowing the Justin Fields horn for months because I do believe in him. If the San Francisco 49ers end up with Justin Fields, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with for the next 5 seasons.
If they don't make it to the playoffs this year, is Shanahan gone?
No way.
No way.
You've had too much success in a so that's two-headed. A, you've had too much success, and B, the predecessor to that question was us setting up the idea that Shanahan's getting a brand new quarterback. So if you're going to plug in a new quarterback, you cannot get rid of the head coach.
Yeah, you can't yank the offense from the quarterback after the first year. Because you want your
y'all just did it.
Well, no, that's not. So this is what's unique about the Eagles situation, though, and this is a great segue because I want to talk about the Eagles. This is what's unique about the Eagles situation. The Jalen Hurts problem did not develop until the middle of last season. If Carson Wentz does not become the 32nd worst quarterback in the league, Jalen Hurts never touches the football field as a quarterback unless it's closing minutes of a game. So the thing here and this is, I don't want to say that this is fact. It's one of those things where I can't show you the proof and the evidence, but we all know that it's real. They decided that they were going to move on from Doug Peterson and keep Carson Wentz. That was the decision. And when the bridge was laid to go meet Carson Wentz somewhere, and Carson Wentz kicked the fucking door over and said, I don't want your bridge, I still want to go play for Frank Reich, then everything changed. And they had to do, they was just glued back together. So this is the segue. I'm driving in my car today, and I hear on Missinelli in the afternoon that, or no, it wasn't Missinelli, it was DeCameron Ritchie from Ray Didinger. The Eagles refuse to name a starter for the upcoming season. Now, there's two schools of thought to this. Aaron presented one right before we came on, that Jalen Hurts, that fire that he's got, it'll help get the wheels turning, and there's no real need because we all kind of know, right? I really believe in order to woo, and I can't believe I'm using the word woo for a fucking 35-year-old blown-out backup quarterback, but in order to woo Joe Flacco to the Philadelphia Eagles, they had to tell him that it was a competition. And I think that guy's going into this camp thinking that he's got a chance. And isn't it the most Philadelphia Eagles thing to ever eagle to have fucking Joe Flacco beat out your supposed future quarterback in fucking training camp?
So the last time Flacco started was obviously before they pulled him for Lamar Jackson. He's had a stint with the Jets. I think
he started 4 for the Jets.
He actually looked, for how bad the Jets were and how bad Darnold looked for half of the year, he actually had a couple decent games and then a couple really bad ones, but the Jets will jet. I don't hate Joe Flacco.
He was the tallest midget at the circus.
I don't hate Joe Flacco. I like him as a backup, but I can't imagine that they would even consider.
That's the most Philadelphia Eagles thing I've ever heard in my life. That's exactly what they do.
I think they probably did sell him on the chance to compete because he went and met with the Niners too.
Yeah, and again, the 49ers, bro, you go take that job, you are competing against Jimmy Garoppolo.
You would play more games.
Well, right? I don't know, dude, but again, I don't think, bro, I know that we all got told that Howie Roseman told Jeffrey Lurie told Howie Roseman that they were not allowed to draft a quarterback this season, that Jalen Hurts was the guy. But here's what gets missed in translation. He never said Jalen Hurts is the guy. All they said is they weren't allowed to take a quarterback. I don't think that the front office is sold on Jalen Hurts, and that's what makes all the sense in the fucking world that they would do something stupid like this and let Joe Flacco compete.
Well, if there's going to be probably someone there at 6 they could have gotten, I'd imagine.
Does Flacco beat out Hurts?
No way. I don't think it's possible.
He's not mobile.
Yeah, but he doesn't need to be.
I know, but when you have a really bad offense and an offensive line that got broken up a little last year, you don't even know really who your number one wide receiver is. You have to have a guy that can go off script and make plays. You just have to do it. You drafted Jalen Reagor. He's not your number one. You have Travis Fulgham.
Jalen Reagor will be the next J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Mark it down.
And
that hurt me to say. That hurt me so bad to say out loud. But this team ruins players. That's what they do.
They're not good.
Do y'all grab a receiver in this draft? Y'all at 12
yes,
right now, right? Yes.
In the second round, the first round will be either a, God forbid Howie Roseman reaches on a pass rusher, but I could see him doing it. It's going to be an edge rusher. It's going to be Micah Parsons maybe if they're not too scared away. But I think it's going to be J.C. Horn or Patrick Surtain, whoever's there.
I was going to say probably secondary.
I'd imagine unless for some reason they're really high on Waddle because he might be here. The thing is, you don't know between Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle who's going to go first. Even though it's clear in my mind, I just saw.
Bro, there's such a problem with thinking that 12 is going to be a wide receiver, though, bro. There's such a problem with it.
I get it.
If you're going to try to tell me that whatever this pick next year turns out to be is going to be a guy like Jamar Chase, you're a fucking idiot. Like, I can't. You can't trade out of the number one receiver and then draft a receiver in the first round.
But if Devontae Smith falls to 12, and he's there, and you don't take him,
you don't do it. You trade down again. You trade down again. You get somebody at 16 that wants to.
If the guy that I just saw put up 200 yards and 4 touchdowns in a full game is there at 12,
he could be Marvin Harrison. He could be Marvin Harrison. Bro, he could be Marvin Harrison or he could be Victor Cruz.
In your system, but it's like you got a young quarterback. You want to throw somebody in there. If you can, I agree with Aaron on this one.
But there's too many receivers in this draft. In the second and third round, you can get guys that make a difference.
You don't have a number one.
You don't have a number one though, bro.
So you were telling me, wait a minute, I'm sorry, Rich. I have to ask my fucking gold-necked friend here a question. You're trying to tell me that you believe right now on April 7th, 2021, Aaron Barrison believes that Devontae Smith is a number 1 wide receiver in the NFL? You have enough evidence right now to say that. You're out your fucking mind. No way.
Bro, he just won the Heisman. He was the best player on every field he touched the entire season.
With the best quarterback when it came to arm talent in the college football.
Wasn't even doing what Devontae Smith just did, bud.
Bro, you're talking about an Alabama wide receiver. Let's talk about this like we talk about quarterbacks. There are a couple of really fucking good Alabama wide receivers.
And Randy
what do they
Moss
look like? Hold up. Before you give me your quarterback bullshit, what are Alabama receivers, bro? Alabama receivers are Julio Jones. Alabama receivers are big body, sure-handed, great athletes. They don't make little receivers in Alabama. Every single one of them that hits the NFL, every one of them that hits the NFL does not have the ceiling you're trying to sell me on when you're giving me an undersized wide receiver who's underweight, who's not nearly as fast as he should be. In game looks great, but he played across from Jalen Waddle with an NFL caliber offensive line in front of his quarterback.
I'm just saying, I've seen a handful of really good. I know they're bigger, but just in general, Alabama does produce wide receivers. So thinking that the fastest one out of all of them, the quickest one out of all of them, and the best one off the line out of all of them.
Your play breaks down, and you got Jalen back there running around.
Yeah. And if they draft Waddle, I'm not going to be mad at that either. If one of them is there at 12.
No, I'm going to be fucking irate if they draft a wide receiver at 12 because they could have stayed at 6 and moved up to 4 with Atlanta and given them a 3rd-round fucking draft pick because Atlanta doesn't need number 4 and gotten Jamar Chase.
To 12 and gain capital with that to get the same
What's
guy
that capital going to be, Rich? You know why? Because fucking Howie Roseman's making the picks. What's it matter?
So here's another question. Let's get on to this. Given the situation and the fact that we've had one Pro Bowler drafted in the past 8 years, if Howie blows this draft,
he has to get fired.
Well, I know he has to. Is there a chance he actually does?
Well, define blow this draft. Misses the 1st round or misses like he has every single pick?
Well, if you trade back from 6 to 12 and someone gets taken in that range that looks great and you miss on 12, that's a bad draft.
There's no doubt he's going to have a bad draft. No, I don't think it's this year that's make or break, and I think that is why Jeff Lurie has signed off on all of these future moves or kicking the can down the road, as I like to call it. I think he's going to give him after this year. Next season is his deal breaker year.
Yeah, because he gave him a coach, he gave him a quarterback. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then again, this is a great point, Rich. The coach, fuck the quarterback. Lots of teams suck quarterbacks. This is the only general manager I've ever seen in my life who's had Andy Reid, Chip Kelly, Doug Peterson, and now Nick Sirianni. 4 head coaches and still has his job.
So real quick, some news happened a couple hours ago, Just. I don't know if you saw it. We didn't talk about it before the show. The Eagles got linebacker Eric Wilson from the Vikings, who played really well on a bad team last year. I think he had something like 8 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 122 total tackles, and filled a huge need at the linebacker position. I had a buddy that's from Minnesota that's a huge Vikings fan that loves both of the Minnesota Vikings players that we got. And, hometown fans are the first one when someone leaves to be like, they're going to be like, damn, if they like them, like, damn, you guys got a good player. If that's coming from Minnesota, hopefully he turns out to be a really good player, but 122 tackles is a nice year for that defense.
Yeah, it's a linebacker they signed. That's exciting because they don't have any of them, so that's good. But I don't know how much that's going to change things.
You may not have to take, if you were thinking about taking one in the 2nd round, let's say, you don't have to do it now. If someone's there,
you already have one you took in the fucking 3rd round last year that didn't play football until he was like 20 years old. So how he fucks it up anyway. That's just what he does. It's just what he does.
Well, based off of what you're saying like that, if y'all just got a nice little linebacker like that, then you need your corner.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. 12 only makes sense. There's no doubt that Dallas is going defensive back at 10. It's just whether they're going J.C. Horn, Caleb Farley, or Patrick Surtain. I hope that Dallas makes a Dallas choice. I hope Dallas makes a Dallas choice and takes Caleb Farley, who's coming off back surgery. But again, just like the Eagles, they can only all fuck up for so long. Eventually, they're going to make a right decision. Maybe they draft a fucking offensive lineman if he falls, but whatever. Anyway, I digress. If Patrick Surtain's on the board, There's no
yeah.
question you take Patrick Surtain.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Agreed.
But your hope is that if Dallas takes Surtain, you at least get J.C. Horn, because you're going to have a corner to put across from Darius Slay, where now all of a sudden your secondary that was Darius Slay and nothing is now all of a sudden a secondary that people need to
you got the Vikings safety. You still got McLeod coming back, and you got a full secondary there.
You got to go corner. Go corner. Or a pass
I'm 100% with you.
Now,
Now, Rich, I got to ask you a question. You and I talked about Tua Tagovailoa for a lot, just like me and Aaron did, and you wavered from side to side on Tua. I know that you have said some egregious things in the past, like Aaron, with the words like Steve Young and silly opinions.
Steve Young.
But I have a serious question for you. So I have two questions. One is genuinely, what do you think Tua is going to be this year for that Miami team? And then two, give me an underrated, under-talked about take you've got that you think is going to happen in the NFL this season.
All right, so with Tua, I got Jimmy vibes about Tua, but my chips is still in the table about Tua. I'm not gonna lie, Tua showed me Jimmy vibes, and you two talked about it all the time. If there's a closer quarterback, you're not the guy.
You're a fucking bad quarterback,
You're
bro.
not the guy. It's just that simple. So there's a couple people not sold on him, front office included.
Aaron
But
says 11 plus for Miami. Do you agree?
I give Miami in the playoffs this year.
I agree, but record, do you think they got 11 wins?
I'm giving them the playoffs.
Wait, this is Justin.
However that trickles
is
down to
actually
them
the first
falling in
time.
there, they're in there.
This is the first time you didn't say they were going to be in the playoffs. You said they were going to finish third in the division like 2 weeks ago. So now they're going to be in the playoffs.
What?
A couple weeks ago on this podcast, you said that they
were
were
going to
not
be on the
going to
playoffs.
be
The fuck you talking about? I asked him his opinion.
No, and you just said you agreed with his take that they're going to make the playoffs.
I agree
So
they
that's
could.
how Miami's doing.
I said when we talked about Miami, when we were doing our odds bets, I said to you, I picked Miami as the best value in that division, and I said to you that there's no doubt the way that this team is, if they make a couple of more right moves, there's no reason why they lose the division. I said that. My words did.
So them at 6 is still very interesting to me because they have
to draft Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase.
Yeah, because
they need a receiver.
Yes,
you give
absolutely.
Devontae
to
Parker.
the second year in an offense with weapons and he doesn't perform, then that
Now I'm going to tell you real quick, and then we're going to move on to because I want Rich's prediction for this year, a dark horse prediction. But I will tell you that as important as a playmaker at 6 is, like a receiver, the most important is that late pick they have, finding a way to make sure they get Najee Harris. Has to happen. Has to happen. That is the most important thing for Miami, is addressing the running back position this season.
They need a
yes,
bruiser.
exactly.
Craziest weapon for Tua to help him produce right there.
Word. Now, Rich, tell me, what is a dark horse prediction? You and I used to love doing this, bro. What's your dark horse prediction?
My dark horse prediction, and I said this to you the other day too, I think y'all slide in the playoffs some kind of way.
I can't understand how
It's
you
not
believe
gonna
that.
be
I
a
thank
great
you.
Scene, but I think y'all sneak in there. Even if what is it?
Justin Rich, do you guys think that Dak is going to be able to come back and play how he was playing off that injury? You do.
His mind is going to be different. Dak's
I don't know that I agree
turnovers.
with Rich, but I don't necessarily know that I disagree with Rich. I can't say, after what we've seen with quarterbacks in the last 7 or 8 years, these young kids, these new kids, they are mentally weak compared to how guys used to be. And that was, I'm sure. I mean, everybody was talking about Dak Prescott setting records in the first 2 games this season. Yeah. I'm sure that there is a mental toll that it takes to have that type of an injury, but he got the contract. He accomplished what he wanted to anyway. So I genuinely believe that he'll come out. He will be the best quarterback in this division.
Yeah,
I think he slips.
But slips how far? So let's talk about. So Jalen Hurts at the top is a good quarterback. He can't become a great quarterback. We can't even think about that expectation.
Doesn't have the weapons yet.
Right, I 100% agree. But beyond that, the player, we can't say that about a guy that's got 4 games, right? So throw him off the list. So then you have Daniel Jones in New York, who is, I think, arguably the worst quarterback in the division, even knowing that Ryan Fitzpatrick is in Washington now.
Why?
Because he can't. First of all, he can't not fumble the ball. He can't run. He's oafy and fucking.
No,
I heard about how great of an athlete this cat was. Bro, he's off balance every time he moves. He's off balance every time he moves.
Brother, he ran as fast as Tyreek Hill was streaking down the field last year.
And tripped over his own fucking feet because he's clumsy. Because he's clumsy. He's clumsy. He throws too many interceptions. He fumbles the ball every time he gets touched.
You just said can't run.
He's just not a good quarterback, bro. He's just not a good quarterback.
If we stop his fumbling, I think Daniel Jones is an okay quarterback.
Bro, how many quarterbacks have we said that about the last 5 years? If he just stopped fumbling the football, he'd be a pretty good quarterback.
Listen, me and you know, we argue about quarterbacks like we train them.
I know, it's true.
With Daniel Jones, it's something there. I think if you stop him from fumbling, and plus you got Barkley back this year.
Yeah.
So you're taking the ball out his hand a lot quicker, and then you give him a somewhat number one receiver.
So let me ask the pointed question. Let me just ask a direct question. Is Daniel Jones going to have a better season than Dakota Prescott?
I think mentally.
Now, is he good? Rich, when the season's over, who do we look at and go, that guy was better?
I don't want to jinx him, but I think Dak's going down again this year. I think he's going down.
That's
so
why
here's another
make it.
Here's another interesting question based on that. So the Cowboys' offensive line was dominant for a couple years, 2-3 years in a row. They've had some injuries. They're picking at 10 or 11. We're expecting 10. We're expecting them to take a DB or someone on defense because it was so terrible. They just invested a lot of money into Dak Prescott. If a guy like Slater falls to them at that, is there a chance that they take him?
Oh, yeah, that's the hope, really, dude. That's right? That is the dream. The dream is that Dallas has to take
on defense this offseason.
Not a lot, but that doesn't matter because Dakota Prescott is your $48 million investment now. So I don't disagree a little bit. That is the hope. If you're an Eagles fan, that's
really the problem last year.
They got Dan Quinn, so that's first.
So the players is what make the plays, though.
Keanu Neal, I believe, but not. I don't think they got one other corner that was Jordan Lewis. I
think. And they've gotten pedestrian guys.
6,000 yards.
Yeah,
but you're allowing 6,000 yards on defense. But
hold on, Rich. Hold on a second. Before you can think about how good Dak Prescott's going to become on offense, you have to be able to know that you're going to protect him behind an offensive line. So I know that the defense is a problem. I get that. But you can address, they don't have such, the Eagles are devoid of talent, before these two signings of a linebacker and a safety. The Eagles were literally, other than Darius Slay, devoid of talent. They had no talent in any position in the secondary. There's still guys in Dallas that have shown promise. Chidobe Awuzie, to name one of them. They've got guys that should be better. They underachieve every single season. They now have Dan Quinn. They now have a guy that can rally out more. So, with that being said, at 10, who is more important to be impactful? Protecting Dak Prescott or plugging a hole in the secondary that you're already a B- at? You can get a corner in the second or third round that's better than a starter. You can't do that with the O-line.
I got to protect it.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. You got to if Rashawn Slater's there, who is a swing tackle that can play both guard positions and both tackle positions, you have to take that guy. Tyron Smith has never not been hurt. There's been too many things that have gone wrong on that O-line. You just spent $50 million on Dak. You got to protect him. There's no two ways about it.
My bold prediction is also that Darisaw is going to end up being the best offensive lineman in this draft.
That's not bold. That's not fucking bold.
It is. It was a month ago when we did a mock draft. You didn't even know who he was.
Cheap ass point. And you can't say it a month later because now everybody does know who he is. Cheap point.
I said it first.
I don't have any more questions for our friend Rich. We got to get on to basketball. I'm sure he's got to get home to his kids. Hey, Aaron, you got anything else you want to ask of him?
No, man, I appreciate your time. I look forward to having you on in the future. It's good to see you, man.
Thank you, guys.
Rich, thank you, bro. We're going to do it again for sure. There's no doubt about that. So everybody pay attention. I'll let you know, Rich, when we can get you back on. We appreciate you coming on, man.
Fields at 3.
Fields at 3. I'm with you, bro. I'm with you.
All right, John.
All right, man.
Real quick, if you guys are watching, make sure if you're commenting on the Big Facts page. We cannot see the comments on the personal pages. We can see the comments live from YouTube. Justin, I think we're going to move on to some actually, real quick, let's talk about this Carolina Panthers New York Jets trade.
Yeah, I can be quick because my thought's pretty simple on it. I think that
Right.
Sam Darnold has a bigger ceiling than Teddy Bridgewater. I think Teddy Bridgewater is what he is. He's never going to be different. You have a just left college coach in Matt Rule who wants a guy that's younger, wants to make his offense his. I think that it made sense for Carolina if they knew they couldn't go up and get a guy like Justin Fields or Zach Wilson. So if they can't get the guys that are there, I think Sam Darnold is making the best of a bad situation, and they didn't give up first-round capital to get there.
So initially, my first reaction was that why give up 3 picks in a rebuild for the Panthers for a guy that's
Not really
been
a rebuild.
Their defense needs a lot of help. They won 4 games last year. They're still rebuilding. They have a new coach. But I do understand that Darnold has never gotten his fair shot in the NFL. You can't get a fair shot with the Jets. They've been a terrible team. They've had after him one good draft pick, their left tackle that they got last year, who's a monster, and that's about it. It's going to be good to see because I think we both agree the Carolina Panthers offense way overperformed last year. Their defense was terrible. I think they had 2 guys over 1,000 yards.
Well, you're talking about a season with no Christian McCaffrey, and you competed in most of your games.
Yeah, they lost a lot of games by a couple points. Teddy put up 4,000+ yards, which I didn't see that coming after watching him with the Saints.
And imagine, again, like this is the reason why I love the trade for Carolina. Imagine if Sam Darnold accomplishes 10% more of what he already has. That offense is only going to be that much better. That's all I've got on the Darnold thing. I have to talk to you about Joel Embiid, though.
Yeah.
So another point I heard on the radio today, which was I almost it took me aback when I heard it because it was when I tell you who it is, you'll understand the level of homerism that was in this statement. But it was a homerism comment. But then I thought about it and I was like, holy shit, he's fucking right. So Anthony Gargano said that the way that Joel Embiid is playing right now, this last stretch of, let's just call it his last 20 games, the way that Joel Embiid is playing right now, he can win it himself. He can compete for a title himself.
Yes.
And it struck me, and I was like, what a fucking homer thing to say. You can't say things like that on Philadelphia radio. And then I thought about it and was like, no, dude, watching this guy play, but watching him against the Boston Celtics, Joel Embiid is that good right now.
Well, here's the biggest thing. If Joel Embiid was a guard and he was putting up these monster numbers and these monster PERs, I would say that's really hard to do. We've seen LeBron do it, and he's still lost a couple more finals than he's won, and he's the greatest player I've ever watched play basketball. When you have a big that's that talented, that good, that dominant, nobody's as big as him in the league right now outside of 1 or 2 guys, and those guys don't weigh as much as him. Those guys can't move like him. His dribbling got better this year, if anybody hasn't noticed. He's slam dunking on people the way Shaq used to, which he hasn't ever done. It's amazing to watch what one coach, and this is really is one coach and one co-player, Dwight Howard, has helped his game so much that I was all for it. Listen, I was going to say this, and I was thinking about this before. There was a span of a year that I was like, this guy gets injured. He never comes in shape.
You're talking about a year ago when we first started the podcast, and you asked who we should trade.
26, 27 years old. Trade him. And I think 40% of Philadelphia is probably saying 60% was like, absolutely not. I was part of the probably smaller percentage that says, I would trade Joel Embiid because I like the way the Sixers played when Embiid was out and Simmons was running the floor, dishing it, and the game was sped up.
Well, and you also, the argument you made was right. I don't think you were wrong. I disagreed with you when you said it. But the age difference, the health, the durability, and again, this was before, because this season is the first season that Joel Embiid's been able to handle the ball. I mean, he's never been a ball handler. If he put the ball on the floor, you used to go, oh, shit, because he's going to turn it over 8 out of 10 times.
In the post, if he started dribbling, he could not feel the double team coming. And all of a sudden this year, there's 2-3 new coaches, and he's passing out of double teams, or he's getting it and he's shooting in someone's face. And the other thing, his jumper is as unstoppable as Kevin Durant's is.
No doubt.
They have the same jumper. It's an unstoppable shot, and he's bigger. He can carry them for sure.
And I think I have to say this, dude, of all the superstars that I've seen, even counting a guy like LeBron, and don't get your panties in a wad yet, guys. I'm not saying that Embiid is LeBron, but the efficiency that Joel Embiid does what he does at is unbelievable when you add into the fact that he's 7'1", 270 pounds. It's unbelievable what he's able to accomplish at the size that he is with the consistency that he does. And I have to tell you, I know that there were guys like you that were like James Harden or bust. I'm telling you, dude, the strides Ben Simmons has taken with his aggression, which is we're still not there yet, but it's a step in the right direction and it's good. Tobias Harris is averaging 20, shooting 50, 40, and 90%. Seth Curry's making shots when you need him to. Danny Green just scored 18
he looked really good
the other night. As long as the three-point shooting remains more than inconsistent, and Ben Simmons does not stop playing defense all of a sudden, this team is competing for a championship this season.
Let's talk about that as well. And I'd agree with you now 100% because what I'm watching is they're still keeping up during the regular season. If Brooklyn doesn't play 15 games together as a unit, those three guys, they're going to have a really tough time getting out of the second round. You can't just put it together. So I was expecting them to play at least. I didn't think they were going to be healthy all year. I didn't think KD was going to be play 70 games. I figured he'd play 55 to 60. James Harden would play most. And then Kyrie missed a week at the beginning. I was like, here we go, a lot of turmoil. And now he's played every game. James Harden's now out with a hamstring injury. He's supposed to. So but the hamstring is soft tissue. It's not something that just gets fixed and you can go back out there. That's something that lingers. So if you're going to take advantage of a window right now, the Nets are older and injured. They might have the best starting lineup, but they're older and injured. And in the West, the favorite out there, LeBron's out, and Anthony Davis has been out for the most part of the year. It almost reminds you a little bit of the situation that Toronto found themselves in a couple of years ago. But right now, the Sixers are better than that Toronto team was.
Yeah, so, I mean, to me, dude, I watch the Sixers team, and because of Joel Embiid, I mean, it's like watching LeBron in 2016 versus the Warriors, right? Like the Warriors were the better team. There's no doubt. I mean, 73-9 is undeniable. Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond, and everything that they put on out there. But when you watch those games, that series, LeBron James was the best player on the floor.
Yeah.
And right now, every game I have seen Joel Embiid partake in, by a fucking country mile, he is the best player on the floor. And it's not close. I watched him play against Zach LaVine. Not close. I watched him play against Bradley Beal. Not close. I've watched him play against LeBron. Not even close.
No, it wasn't.
He is in a special part of his prime. I believe that this guy, I've said this for years, you and I have talked about this, 27 to 31 is probably all you can expect. Anything in addition is better. Then you calculate in the injuries, you thought 29 to 31, maybe 2 or 3 seasons. If they find a way to keep this guy's conditioning right, and he just turned 27 years old, and that you have the Matisse Thybulles, the Ty Maxies, the Shake Miltons, the Tobys that are locked up, the Bens, this is a team that is going to be a finals contender for the next 5 seasons.
As long as it's healthy. Yeah.
It is the best basketball I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, it's been impressive. And you know, when you think about the Eastern Conference, man, it's, you know, those big guys that can even put up a little bit of a fight are all out west. And you thought that, you know, when you watch them play a team like the Jazz, you're like, who defensively might be able to stand up to Joel Embiid? Well, Rudy Gobert is a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. He's 7'1". He's 20 pounds less. That's probably a good matchup for him. Dominated Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert was flopping under the basket. Nikola Jokic is out there, but he's not a defensive player, so it's going to be an offensive matchup. Joel Embiid.
Andre Drummond? Are you going to give me Andre Drummond for the Lakers, right? Andre Drummond has been made his bitch his whole career, right?
I'm not even naming, first of all, anybody in the East. I'm not gonna name Drummond. He's been taken advantage of. Toronto and the Heat, they have Siakam and Bam, and they aren't even close in size. So those are the 2 best bigs in the East. But we don't have to talk about it. So as long as you can find a way realistically to to get past Brooklyn if they play enough games together and are healthy and you can slow them down a little bit. I'm feeling more confident about that series than I was at the beginning of the year. I still think the Nets will end up winning the conference, but it doesn't matter whether the 1 or 2 seed. The Sixers have to win in the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's where they are now, too. I think having Doc Rivers and Sam Cassell behind that bench is really prepping them for what this is. I mean, Tobias Harris, do we think it's ironic that he went on the run he did when he did? It's because the coaches knew how to coach him up when necessary, and they get out of guys what they need when they need, and that's what a good coaching staff does. I got to talk about the Phillies a little bit today, man. Did you get to watch any of the game?
Yeah, I did. I watched a little bit of the end of it. Real quick, though. I'm so happy that I'm not complaining about out of bounds plays and rotation and like Kurt and Joel Embiid shooting three. Like I've just got, it's all come out over years, and I got so tired of it. And then Doc comes in with Cassell and their defensive coach, and they're the number 1 ranked defense in the league, and they're not having any issue. The only issues they have on offense sometimes is when Danny Green and Seth Curry are both in the same game, absolutely miserable, and it's rarely happens. So like, clap it up for Doc. Thank you, Doc Rivers.
Seriously, I agree with you 100%. And I think it's the same reason why the Philadelphia Phillies are competitive this year, because you have Joe Girardi and you have a real fucking baseball guy, not Gabe Kapler with his fucking energy drinks and sleep routines.
Is he in San Fran still?
Who cares? So the Phillies today had an 8-2 win over the Mets. Rubber game of the series with the Mets. They won 2 out of 3. They've started the season 5-1 against the Braves and the Mets. The Braves being the favorite to win the division, the Mets being the second favorite to win the division. They just handled business. Aaron Nola was not good today. I mean, he had 92 pitches through 4 innings.
He got out of that jam in that 4th, though, and that was
he did. Yeah, that's the reason why he was your opening day starter. Aaron Nola's a 1 or a 2 on most teams, because he can get, as much as he gets himself into trouble, he can get out of it. Yeah. But the bullpen showed up huge today. I mean, when you only get 4 innings out of your starting pitcher, last season you're winning losing 9 out of 10 times. Now you have so much faith in the bullpen, and their lineup showed up today, dude. 2 home runs through the first 5 games, and they rattled off 3 today. Reese had a solo. Alec Boehm had a big shot. Yeah, there was offense today, man. Hector Neris pitched a scoreless inning. There's a lot of good things in this game, but a lot of good things in this series. And I keep saying this. Yeah. I feel like I'm banging my head into a wall. 7 weeks ago, the over-under for the Phillies this year was 81.5 games. Wow. I don't know what that line exists at today. I'd imagine it's 85 or 86 right now.
Yeah.
But this team is probably going to win this division. They're that good that people just didn't see. They were a couple of pitching moves away. Their lineup's been there. But when you don't have a pitcher that can help you through to get the lineup moving, it's just such a problem. And the fans, like you said last episode, bro, I think that's making a huge difference.
Look, baseball is, again, I played for so long. It can be a boring game if you're playing 60 games with no one there, or however many games with no one there. And the people it affects most is the pitchers, because when you're in that 4th inning and the bases are loaded and you need to get out of a jam and that home crowd's going wild and you just don't have it today. And I've been in those positions. That day I just didn't have it, and I had to find a way to just get out of the inning. I don't know if that happens if the fans aren't in the stands, to be completely honest with you. So that's going to affect this season. And the bullpen, like you just mentioned, I think I saw a statistic that 1 run that they gave up today was like the 2nd or 3rd run that they've given up all year so far, which is incredible. They've done an incredible job pitching.
They're just better than we thought, man. And it's a great thing. I'm so excited, because that means that come October, I'm going to have playoff baseball. And it's been so long. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, there's something like walking to your car 2 weeks before Halloween to go to work in the morning and feeling the air and knowing there was a baseball game that day.
When was the last year the Phillies were a competitive play? I mean, it had to be when
a great question.
Competitive playoff team was Rollins and Victorino and Utley, and was there a competitive team in after that in that span up until now? Like a team you thought could actually do something?
No, man.
I
I
don't
mean,
think
they
that- I
went
don't
through
think
years of misery, bro. That's what happened. They fell off the face of the planet.
Yeah, it's exciting to watch, and it's also great that it's just another one of those outdoor sports that you can go just drink some fucking
Dude, I
beer.
don't know if this is legit or not. I just Googled this while you asked the question. So one of the things on Google is when was the last time the Phillies made the playoffs, and it comes up in a year by year. The
Yeah.
last year was 2011. I don't know if that's the case or not. That's going to take much further research.
I would,
But if it's been that long, holy fucking shitballs,
a
Batman.
decade, and they were on the outs with at that point. Howard was like deep into his, I think, ridiculous contract. Was he on that team still?
2011, yeah.
Yeah. So Howard was probably into that ridiculous contract. Utley was a year or two away from, being traded to one of those teams that he just played like a couple innings for throughout the year. I don't even remember who the starting pitcher
Dude,
was.
so this is legitimate. This is legitimate. Get ready to hurt. Get ready to hurt.
Yeah.
You're going to hurt with me. I'm going to read it. When was the last time the Phillies lost the playoff series, which would be the last time they were in the playoffs?
Yeah.
2011, they lost to the St. Louis Cardinals in the divisional series.
Okay.
Wow, it's been 10 years.
Give me that lineup. Who was in that lineup?
So the 2011, I wonder, was that the Four Horsemen year still too? 2011 Phillies. Let's.
All right, so you had Cliff Lee,
Chooch, Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins, Placido Polanco, Raul Ibanez, Shane Victorino, and Hunter Pence.
Yeah.
Roy
Halladay, Joe Blanton.
Yeah, that was Holiday, Lee, Hamels, and Oswalt.
Oh, so
that
listen,
was the Four
remember,
Horsemen.
So those were the years, remember, that Dominic Brown was starting to come up from the minors, and we were like crowning him as going to be the next guy.
Yeah,
and
he was the guy.
Then we signed Pedro Martinez at the end of the year and thought it was going to fix the fifth spot in our starting rotation, and we were going to be competitive in the playoffs, and we just were not.
Dude, and some of these names I can't believe it's 10 years ago. J.C. Romero, relief pitcher, Vance Worley.
Romero was unbelievable.
Bro, I mean, there's some of these on here that Ben Francisco, John Mayberry, Wilson Valdez. Like, bro, I can't believe it's 10 years.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's crazy. So it's good to have some Phillies baseball back. And I was trying to go to a game tonight, and the cheap seats all the way up in the upper deck in the outfield were like $120. I decided to just watch the end of it on TV and call it a day.
Bro, it's expensive out there right now, dude. There's limited availability now. This is how they're gonna make up all the lost revenue.
That's right. What else do we have to cover today, Joss?
I don't think I had anything else come up. Have you said something silly to me recently? We haven't talked in the last couple days.
I don't ever say anything silly. I back.
Yeah, no, you just think that Tua Tagovailoa is gonna be fucking Steve Young. No, I mean, well, so, again, I had it. There's a conundrum that exists in Philadelphia very rarely. So the other day you had the Flyers, the Sixers, and the Phillies all on at the same time.
Uh-huh.
Where do you go? Why? And how do you know?
Well, I don't watch hockey, so we're throwing that out. And everybody's been complaining to me about the Flyers anyway. So I'm just going to
they're ass juice currently.
So the reason I go with the Sixers is because although the Phillies season is super exciting, we're fighting for a 1 or 2 seed. I'm watching greatness in Joel Embiid every single night. Brooklyn's right there with us. We're closing in on the playoffs. So it's closer to playoff time than it is in baseball, where I have another 6 months till I even know what's going on with the rankings there. So I'm watching the Sixers, then I'm watching the Phils. And even if the Eagles were on right now, I'd be watching them, but I'd be flipping back and forth to the Sixers and Phils from the Eagles, because I still think, regardless of what Rich says, they're going to be terrible. We'll talk about it as it gets closer. Maybe I'll go watch some training camp and pray a little bit.
Bro, it wouldn't be the craziest thing if they won this division, though.
Well, let's break it down. Let's break this down real quick, and then this will be the last little segment. So I know that I think the Giants had a little favor last year from having a first year coach with no crowd involvement. And I don't think their defense I don't think their defense could keep playing like that. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. I still just don't believe in Daniel Jones. And until he proves me otherwise, that he's not going to turn the football over, I just don't. So I think we have a good chance of competing with the Giants. The Redskins are the scarier team because they do have a Ryan Fitzpatrick, but Ryan Fitzpatrick has also proved to us that although he can win you football games and throw for a lot of yards, when it comes time to win to get into the playoffs, he does sometimes crumble. And I think he's made the playoffs 1 or 2 times in his entire career as a starter, maybe once. So the Redskins are scary. They have a great defense. They have some weapons. They have to have a good draft. They have to get some skill guys. Dallas is a mystery because they still have Mike McCarthy. They have Dak coming off an injury, haven't patched up the offensive line. They have a terrible defense. So I can make up all these reasons why I like Dallas's offense, but I don't know how Dak's going to look after a broken leg and no patched up offensive line if they decide not to go in that direction. I know the offense is going to be good, but I also know they're going to be getting thrown on and ran on by every team that they play. So who's the scariest team in this division? I think it's Washington.
Dallas has to be. I mean, like we can't.
We're saying it every year, though. We do this every year.
We said this last year. Ron,
Yeah.
I remember we said this. We said Dallas should be the clear runaway favorite, and they just don't execute. And pig face fucking Mike McCarthy is still back there. There's so many things wrong in Dallas. I get it. But also at the same time, even though we say this and say this and say this and say this, eventually it's got to work. Eventually they got to have a season like they did a couple of years ago and win 12 games. It's got to happen.
You know what would be the ultimate, and they would never do this because there's so much guaranteed money. The ultimate Dallas Cowboys fuck you move would be if the Eagles, it looked like Justin Fields was sliding and they thought Dak might get injured. And they're like, I'm not giving Justin Fields to the Eagles. They draft Justin Fields and Dak gets hurt and he goes on and they think
they know that there's absolutely no way that they take Justin Fields anyway because this team makes stupid decisions in the draft, bro. They make stupid decisions. Final thoughts. Wrap up, homie.
I agree. The Eagles do need a DB first and foremost, but if the 1 or 2 that they love are off the board, that means a wide receiver did fall. So we'll see what happens. Personally, I still love Devontae Smith. I think I've watched him outperform everybody. I'm very high on him. The Sixers can be, and I know we talked about this. You've asked me all year, well, the question is who guards Embiid, and I was like, listen, there's teams that are going to put up points and he can't do it by himself. I'm starting to think that maybe he can do it by himself, but I also, Justin, let's give credit where credit's due. We did just watch the Sixers go on an 8-3 run with him not playing, so they are a good and well-coached basketball team regardless of whether he's on the floor or not.
Good final thoughts. I agree with pretty much everything that you said. Yes, they did do well in that 11-game span, and I'm happy for it. And that is absolutely kudos to that coaching staff because they're the guys that made it happen. Yeah. The players obviously executed, but they put it out there. Joel Embiid could win a championship himself. I'm not afraid to say it. I said it about LeBron James for 14 or 15 years now. That's just what it is, bro. That's just Joel Embiid is on that level of he is the best basketball player in the world right now. We've been saying it for weeks. I know he got hurt. I know that now he can't win the MVP because he only played a certain amount of games that for whatever fucking horse shit reason they want to make up not to give it to him. He is the best player in the world right now, and it's just fun to watch. Another one, props up to the Phillies, Joe Girardi and what he's done with that team. After a weird COVID-shortened 60-game season, it looks like he's got all those guys raring and ready to go. It's going to be a good Phillies season. I was happy to have Rich on. Yeah, I want to thank him for coming. I had a great time, good conversation. Yeah. We'll have to give him a little bit more razz about his 49ers next time, but it was a good time. And with that being said, too, I want more guests, man. Anybody out there, anybody who watches, friends with Aaron, friends with me, people who are just watching the show, let us know you want to get on, man. We want to get people on and talk to you.
Yeah, if you're a fan of another team outside of Philadelphia, you follow the local papers, you're following that team on a daily basis, and you're just into it like that, and you can speak a little bit, you're not afraid to come on here live with us, we want you on the show.
I know we've got a couple guys that are Boston Celtics fans and Miami Dolphins fans.
I want people to come on here and talk. I don't want to do all the talking on Facebook.
Yeah, I just want to have a good NFL conversation heading drafts in a couple of weeks, guys. The rubber's hitting the road, man. We only got a limited amount of time to be able to figure out what we all think. So I encourage everybody, shoot us a message, me, Aaron, the Big Facts page, comment on this video. I just got our Sunday episode uploaded on Spotify right before this episode. Aaron's going to get this one uploaded next, and will be uploaded Spotify, Apple, wherever shit goes. It goes everywhere. So however you like to listen, you come listen to us. I had a great night with you again, Aaron. Thanks for coming on with me. And until next time, buddy.
Next time, bud. I'll see you then.